essays, another type of essay in our series on essay types. Narrative essays are a less formal type of essay that is used to tell a story. Often narrative essays are personal essays. They still have a central idea or thesis and supporting ideas that connect back to it. And sometimes in other types of essays, the writer will use brief stories to help illustrate their point or support their arguments. For example, George Orwell wrote an essay called Shooting an Elephant, in which he makes points about imperialism and colonialism while telling a story about his life as a police officer in India. For our purposes, we will use narrative essays to explain a theme or idea that connects to the books we read and also to our lives. For example, in grade 9, you may write a narrative about friendship, one of the major themes in The Outsider. This may be a little less formal than in an argumentative or critical essay. For example, when we are kids and as we move into young adulthood, friendships are one of the most important ways we connect with other people outside our families. These connections help to shape who we are and who we want to become when we grow up. Now, normally in a formal academic essay, we avoid the use of I or you. We don't talk about I'm writing, I'm thinking, I'm doing, I'm saying. I know you are the writer of the essay because you're handing it in to me with your name on it. So you use a more general approach. You want to sound a little more like a third person, omniscient narrator, for example. So you don't have to make it about you personally. But in a narrative essay, you can make it about you personally. You can say we and I. When I was a kid and as I moved into young adulthood, friendships were one of the most important ways I connected with other people outside my family. That would be perfectly acceptable as well. So it's something you can keep in mind for a narrative essay. You have a little more flexibility and a little more informality. Okay, so there we have our thesis statements, the way friends shape us as we grow up, okay? If that sentence acts as a thesis statement, then you would choose something about your own life that shows how a friend shaped your life. Maybe something a kind friend did for you, maybe they helped you at a hard time, or maybe a friend did something wrong that you didn't like, and so you decided to be different than your friend. Any of those topics would make a nice narrative essay topic. Remember that narrative essays tend to be more personal. Some of the narrative essays for the AP English Language and Composition course that we read are highly personal, but also talk about important issues such as learning to read, facing obstacles like racism, overcoming a trauma like an accident or loss or poverty. These are all big issues, but personal stories are used to discuss them. That makes it easier for the reader to relate to and less of a big issue. But what if your assignment says you have to include something from the book you're reading with your narrative essay, which is supposed to be personal? What do? Your life and the book are like way different. Have no fear. You can find quotes that will support your topic if you read closely. Choose a chapter or two that you read carefully and talked about in class to help. For example, grade 9 books, The Outsiders. You can find something about how Johnny's life and kind personality were shaped by his connections with the other guys in the group despite his bad parents. Or you could focus on Johnny and Pony's friendship and how they help each other in a bad situation. When did a friend help you? In Animal Farm, Boxer and Clover remain friends throughout the book, and Clover tries to help Boxer not hurt himself through so much work. This would be a good book to write about when friendships go wrong as well, because Napoleon throws Snowball out of the farm. Ever had a big friend drama? You can relate this book to that easily. Of Mice and Men, this whole book focuses on how George tries to help and protect Lenny no matter what happens. George even includes Lenny in his big dreams. Ever think about how you and your BFF will go to university together? There's linking a dream. You could figure out how to link Of Mice and Men to your own personal dreams as well. Grade 10 books, Brave New World. Bernard and Helmholtz are the two characters in this uniform dystopia who feel different, and so they are able to support each other until their fates are decided. When did a friend help you when you felt weird? In The Bell Jar, Doreen, Betsy, and Joan all contribute to Esther's well-being in positive or negative ways. Which friends of yours are a good or bad influence? In Frankenstein, how did the creature come to learn from the people he saw as friends, and why did they reject him? Ever think friends would be there for you only to find out they let you down? In grade 11, there's always a friendship or a betrayal in Shakespeare. Whether The Merchant of Venice, Hamlet, or Romeo and Juliet, you can relate how prejudice, lies, and loyalty work in your own friendships. The curious incident of the dog in the nighttime, what about when people are different than you? How can friendships be different than what you might expect? The Metamorphosis. It opens with poor Gregor as a giant bug worrying about his work stopping him from having close friends. Has a situation in your life ever made you feel completely cut off from your friend or bugged out? In grade 11 AP Language and Composition, we read many personal essays in our textbook by Sherman Alexie, James Baldwin, Frederick Douglass, George Orwell, John Jeremiah Sullivan, David Sedaris, and more. All of these show the storyteller overcoming an obstacle of some kind. If you have to relate that to friendship, you could examine how friends or kindnesses of others helped the author of the essay and helped you in your essay. Or the topic might be different and your narrative essay might focus on overcoming a difficulty. Don't worry, your teacher will help you choose an appropriate topic for whatever text it is you're reading. So even if friendship doesn't work, they'll choose another theme and it'll work just fine. So regardless of your year at school or the books you read, you can find ways to connect the book and an experience of your own that will relate to your essay and the book thematically. Don't worry, your teacher will find a topic that works with the book, and as you write your body paragraphs, you would choose specific quotes or passages that support your essay and use them to make your ideas stronger. And of course, there's going to be a video on how to work quotes into your essays. Your essay will still have an introduction, a thesis, body paragraphs with evidence if needed, and a conclusion. Narrative essays are built just like formal styles of essays, but with a little more of a personal touch. You will still have to use somewhat formal language, but maybe not as much as you would in a research or argumentative or critical essay. You could definitely use the first person, I felt, I saw, I thought, I did, whereas in more formal essays that is generally avoided and you don't do that at all. And that's it. That's all there is to a narrative essay. All you have to do is find a theme in the book that relates to you and your personal life. And of course, we wouldn't read any of these books if they didn't connect to our lives. So generally, that shouldn't be such a big deal to find out and work out. And that's about it. Good luck.